Hey everybody. So I thought I will make a raw reveal, kind of. That's why I put this raw background. Yeah. Um, so this is a bit of a journal, but also a share um, about how I'm developing things. Yeah. So this is a bit of my story. So I'm going to change the background to talk in terms of that. And the point is, um, how I began developing my work, what I'm calling as meristem intelligence, is also in response to how the website got created and how I began developing the different verticals. I have um, heal, breathe, love, live. Yeah. So it is on table therapy work. There's movementless yoga. There is course correction counseling, and there is community harmonizing activities. Now that's like if you go by the idea of the Shri Chakra, yeah, in the form of a Devi, in the sense um, where you have the muladhaara chakra, for example, is talking in terms of it has four petals. It has a triangle, a square, um, kind of four domes, and then four petals. Yeah, that's the representation of the muladhara chakra. If you consider the muladhara chakra to be like the basis from which you live, or the ground, or the space of a room, for example, yeah, has at least four walls, a roof, and a floor. At least four walls is like four dimensions by which you live. Every human being has at least these four. Yeah. Um, in terms of biodynamics, or the fourth way, Gurdjieff's fourth way, they call it as Mama, Papa, Bebe, Idio. Each of us are born from a set of parents, Mama, Papa. Yeah. We have a body that's human. That means we have our own identity, existence, which is not just like that with mother, father. We have a body of our own at least. And hence, consequently, we have a life of our own. The other is, so that is like idiom. So the person is like idiom. Bebe is just like mother, father, complementary partners. You have a complementary partner. You may or may not have met the person, but you have a complementary partner. So that complementary partner would be Bebe. Okay? So mama, papa, baby, idiot. Each person have this. If you have a body that's human, you have these four. Yeah? And then from this idea as the muladhara, four petals, um, because of which we have a body that's human. And then the different people we meet is a set of, you could say in some way, bouncing off of these four. Yeah? So it's either a reflection, they could be teachers, they could be, so this is where I would change the background. Yeah. So they could be teachers, they could be friends, they could be students, they could be neighbors, they could be people in the different places you visit whom you interact with. So they would, in one way or the other, they would be bouncing off of mama, papa, baby, or idiot. So they may seem like, oh, this person reminds me of some aspect of my mother's behavior or my father's behavior, or somebody you more like. Yeah, there are likes and dislikes. So either it's something about you or something that is resonates with you. Yeah. So in that sense, a complement. Yeah, complementary partners. Yeah. So it could be your business partners, it could be friends whom you interact with. One way or the other, you're bouncing off of these four. And then, so this is where I go back into background. So what am I doing here? Giving a different context to what I'm talking. Yeah. So how have I been developing my different products, services, verticals, um, and how have I come to be speaking what I'm speaking Also developing, I've been making my conscience, the circles, 10 spheres of influence and those videos. Um, and then over time have come to see how the Shri Chakra emerges from my conscience is I've been doing things in a particular order, in a particular sequence. And over time, my conscience developed. And then, they say, as you walk, the path appears. Excuse me. As I've been doing things, the Shri Chakra emerged. I have been looking at the Shri Chakra, yeah, in some ways. I've got just a circle and the triangles from Mr. Bapna's mind training, mind focus training institute, yeah, mind and concentration training institute. So quite some time back during my primary school. So that's an image that I have been. It was in the cupboard, and then again it was out, and then so there's been these movements. Sometimes I would look at it, sometimes I would not. So, and then over time, well, my different activities emerged, and then I've been doing things, and my enterprise took shape as I learned to facilitate health clinically, and then so I've been doing things. But how I've been developing these is also by sharing with people whom I have been interacting with, whom I've grown up with, who have been part and parcel of my everyday activities. It's about in 2005 that I listened to the radio and I recognized that person as my complementary partner over time. Yeah, that's taken a long retrospective, reflective learning in and of itself. And then about in 2009 is where I hit ground nothing. In the sense, my orientation with life, who are people, in what way they are related. So since then, I've been kind of doing a little deep dive with life. Everything seems superficial. What is actually happening, and then illusion, and you could say a little, a cup of life gets stirred, and then you begin to start looking at life from a perspective which you haven't before. Yeah, and then you kind of, it's like in this movie Wall-E, where she jumps off the chair. Yeah, everybody's hooked onto the screen, and then she jumps off the wagon, and then she looks at why is everybody like this? Why is her body shaped like this? And then you have a different perspective. You're kind of disillusioned, yeah, and then you're seeing life from a disillusioned um, perspective. You're looking at life differently. And then I began inquiring into how are people related to me, why they related to me, what am I doing in the whole scheme of things, what is that I can add value to. Um, so I kind of began reconstructing my life since around 2009. And then seeing what do I already have? How am I related with different people? Why am I related with different people? And what can I do to make things better? For example, I discovered that Earth gives me space to be. So given that there is a primary relationship with Earth, because I occupy space on Earth, how can I be of value to Earth? And then I discover the universe um, is in the womb. Yeah, uh, Earth is in the womb of the universe, or the universe in the womb of Earth. Yeah, I have to see which way. But nevertheless, I occupy space in the universe. Yeah, and and then I began seeing how can I add value to why the universe and Earth and all of this whole structures have been created. And then, oh, I'm a citizen of India. So what does a citizen mean? I had to look it up on Google. What does the word citizen mean? What does voting mean? And so you got to be an adult enough to vote. Yeah. So what does being an adult mean? So I would check out the meaning of all these words on Google meaning. I would just put the word and then put meaning and then in English, and then I would see what is coming up. So I've been um, kind of beating words and then arriving at how are these words related? I have a lot of labels, daughter and then employee and many kinds of labels. So there are labels and how am I related with the labels? And am I doing what I need to be doing for these labels? That I have these labels. I also have certificates. How much do I match up? How much do I qualify for having those labels and then doing things consistent with a person having these labels, these certificates, because they are certifying that I have a certain capability. How much am I matching up with it? How much am I getting better than that? Yeah. In what way am I wearing my crowns, so to speak? Yeah. So there are all kinds of, these are all labels. And even a daughter, you had to be born, yeah, and then have a body that's female to be called a daughter. So am I doing things consistent with being a good daughter? So then you would say, oh, good, bad. But it's about, being worth your salt. You're called a name. What is it you're doing to be worth your salt? Worth that title, worth that name. So that's also a chair. I occupy a chair in which I'm called a daughter. Occupy a chair in which I'm called a neighbor. Occupy a chair in which I'm called different names. And then to regularly see how much am I matching up with the ideal of it, and then see what is it I can do to improve if there is a gap, and then slowly get those values right. And that's how I develop my conscience. Yeah. Another, so that's a little bit of the pathway to it. But what is significantly happening about these videos is I'm continuing to do something by which I came to be doing what I'm doing now, and which is to share what I'm doing with people. Yeah. So my parents have been asking, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Why can't you do something else? And then I had to stand on my ground. Why doing what I'm doing is valuable, and why continuing that is important. So to stand on my own ground, somebody asks you a question and then you're going, oh, which way? So do you have your own substance by which you can stand? And if somebody can just shake you off, maybe you're not standing on firm ground. You don't know what you're doing, basically. So maybe you need to inquire into why you're doing what you're doing so that you can stand on firmer ground. So anybody can ask you a question, and then this is like, like a PhD thesis. Um, I've been told that, they ask a lot of questions and you should be able to defend your theses. So what's your theory of life? What's your theory of everything? What's a theory by which you live your life? Can you defend in a way that is, that you're not going like this with people, but proof of concept or proof of why you're doing. If somebody asks you a question, can you answer those questions? Yeah. In such a way that people have a satisfactory answer. Yeah. And in some way it placates their um, um, soothes their concerns, their anxieties, um, their reasons for asking questions. So there could be a question behind the question behind the question. So are those different levels of questions getting answered from how you're answering? How transparent can you be? Or how much are you, behind the veils? So when questions are asked, how much do you stand out as true? Or how much of what you're doing are you clear about yourself? Yeah. So what you're doing could be complex, but can you stand by, this is why I'm doing? And that's also how you become people of substance, when you can stand by what you're doing and in a way that you can answer, clarify the different levels of questions according to how understanding is there, to the extent that people are comfortable asking questions. Yeah. Because I think people would like you to do well, basically. So they're not trying to dislodge you, but they'd like to see how much are you stable, can be. So their questions, is it shaking you? In which case you're not stable enough there. You need to work some more. Got to do some more work. So we all have to be doing our own homework. And the more we are working towards being clear on what we are doing, that's also how our conscience becomes more clear. Otherwise, we have consciousness. We are doing many things, but we may not have substantiated enough to stand our ground and then be transparent about what we are saying. So my parents have been asking questions, my brother, my extended family, my neighbors, friends, they've all been often asking me questions. And as I've been attempting to answer those questions, my reason for what I'm doing has been getting clearer. Or I could just say, oh, questions, you're always criticizing me. To that extent, I'm not closer to being clearer about what I'm doing. If I don't take their questions to be a criticism or they're just rejecting me, they don't consider me, they don't mind me, that extent I continue to be unclear about what I'm actually doing. So they call it like a statue. Yeah, a statue is, they carve out. Yeah, so there's this tap 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 and chipping and all of that. So you could say oh, or you could say a statue is getting made. The David statue of David. David was always there within the marble. Yeah, and the sculptor, he said, Michelangelo, he only removed the extra pieces, and David has always been there. So the better you has always been there. It's when people ask you questions, they look at you, they ask questions, they like to know further. It's when those veils, which has in some way or the other been marring you. Yeah, kind of you didn't know you're doing this. Yeah. So slowly, as you inquire, give yourself space, give others space to then ask question, to be curious about, and then you respond, is also how what you're doing, what your life is about gets clearer. These videos that I'm making, that I'm calling as healthy natural breathing, for example. So I'm going to change the video. Oh, sorry. Ow. Okay. So I'm learning my technical stuff. So what I'm calling as healthy natural breathing is by learning to interact with different surfaces. For example, a screen, with a book, with a canvas, with a thread, crochet, yeah, or with a musical instrument, or with my own body as I'm moving. It's also called dance, yeah. As I'm interacting with different people. So different people are like different canvases, different screens. Every person have their own filters. Uh, every people have their own software, their own logic by which they are functioning, becoming who they are, who they have become over time, how they improve, develop. We're all work in progress. Over these times, as I've been sharing these videos, there have been different kinds of inquiries, but this is also what has been happening, how my enterprise took shape. When people are curious, they ask questions, and then I answer them, and then I make my stuff more clearer. As I've been facilitating health clinically, I have a biodynamic method of healthcare. As I'm able to answer the questions satisfactorily, that's when I see, oh, there's value. There is some more value which people have been able to identify, but haven't named it, or haven't been able to identify it because nobody was curious enough about those aspects. And when questions were asked, maybe they did or didn't do research enough to be able to answer them satisfactorily, and hence there are many unknown aspects about how we live our everyday life, which is also, for example, the Shri Chakra. There is the Shri Chakra, but it's only as I inquired further into it, I'm finding missing elements or questions are there. Where do they come from? And it's when you inquire about them, then you, for example, I noticed the muladhaara chakra is not just about, a chakra at your perineum, but it has a base of four petal, which means the petals are arising from four circles. Yeah, from four circles. When the circles are interacting, that it forms a petal. That's one way to look at it. The petals are also having an S shape. So these are two kinds of, I tend to call it as dramas. Between drama and Vinaya triad, there is a fine relationship between drama and Vinaya triad. Drama triad is victim, perpetrator, rescuer, which may also have problems in there. And then there is Vinaya triad is vulnerability, caring, harmoniously assertive, which means there is a desire, there is a commitment, and between the problem and the desire and in working with these two is a solution. Yeah. So I call it the S. or the S hook, like we have the S hooks. So these two are related. So the petals are in a delicate S shape. Yeah. So there are two kinds of S per petal. And then there are 4 petals there. Yeah. So it's when we inquire into our existing structures, when we are curious enough, that's when we see solutions or missing elements, which then needs to be inquired further into, and that offers solutions. Now, as I've been facilitating, interacting with different people and making my I'm calling it movementless yoga, course correction counseling, on-table therapy work, healing work, community harmonizing activities, I'm using these words. It's as and when people are asking questions, curious about what I'm saying, that's when I'm making things more clearer. And then I'm making another video, or I'm making another reel, or I'm making another creative to make the matter clearer. What I'm saying is, some of the videos that I'm making here is in response with people I'm already working with. They're asking a question they would like to know further about, and then I make a video, and the video makes it clearer for them. So if what I'm speaking is not clear enough for you, it may also be big. Okay, if you like me to make videos, content that caters to your concern, I think it would be better, it would be best if you would contact me. So then I would know, oh, there is this question, there is this curiosity, which I have not already catered to. And then in response to having a conversation with you or interacting with you, then I will make the next content. So it becomes clearer for you. So when it's clearer for you, maybe it becomes clearer for other people too. Yeah. So that way there'll be questions or answers to unfound or unknown elements, which may be having a relevance in my sphere of work, or already having solutions available, how-tos. Then that becomes easier for me to make available. Yeah. So, for example, the different exercise that I'm in different stages of making available, I'm kind of like, maybe it's too big. People have been saying I'm speaking all big things. So I'm also bouncing off of those kind of responses that I'm saying big things. So I'm working on how to make it small and simple enough, while there may already be things which is better spoken. But it's when I interact with people that I recognize this is better spoken. This is much more easier to understand. Maybe it's not such a big thing. So then I can make those things, simple things, available. And I don't know which is big. Was it one person's perspective that it was big? Whereas for another person, it would be, oh, it's just that. What are you talking about? You can just speak. So maybe I have not interacted with those people. So do let me know. Even your comments help, because I'm also working based on your comments also, the feedback that I'm getting from there. So thank you so much for listening. I hope this has been of value to you. Good day.